Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 128 of the Orange Pill Investor. I got no time to waste today. The market just opened. I'm going to try to record this, get it posted ASAP. And I know there's a lot of stress about MicroStrategy, for one, since it ripped up. And all of my strikes were breached. I think I got 1370, 1380, 1400. So there's some interest to see how I'm going to deal with this. And I know that a lot of people say you never sell your Bitcoin, and the same philosophy has been kind of adopted for MicroStrategy. And I'm going to go ahead and disagree with both of those, as a matter of fact, because if you did some degenerate shit like, levered up on Bitcoin, and you either were borrowing to buy Bitcoin because you think it's a bear market and it's going to pump or whatever. I actually considered doing that. I actually considered going out and just trying to get like as much money as I possibly could from any bank that would lend it to me, and just buying Bitcoin, when it was down to 20, 30 grand, whatever. And then, just sell a little, if my monthly payment on that loan was $500 a month, just sell $500 worth of Bitcoin, pay it off, and then when it pumps to 150 next year, or 225 or 500, or, some people are hoping for $1 million, and then just pay it off at that point. So if you are margined like I am, I think it's reasonable to say that when you get wins, you should de-lever when appropriate. And so Tasty Trade is already kind of a little bit pissed off at me because I have like 90% of my portfolio in MicroStrategy. So when I try to buy MicroStrategy, it'll sometimes tell me, nah, I don't think so. This violates our concentration risk algorithm. So I may try to just make my exchange happy and diversify into some things. Some folks wanted to see how I deal with cash secured puts as well, which I don't even really run anymore. But I feel like they have the same returns as covered calls, so it's completely fine to add some. I'm already trading Riot on this account, but I'm just going to check and see how much of each of these I can buy. So let's just say I'm going to buy 2,000 shares of Riot. That would cost me 20 grand. Is that not giving me any margin discount whatsoever? Yeah, that sucks. What about Hut? Let me just do 10,000. Whoa, I meant 8,000. All right, 1,000 shares of Hut, instead of costing me 9 grand, it's going to cost me 5. So what is that, like 40% requirement? Let's check Riot again. Was Riot just pissed off because I was trying to buy too much? This is annoying. So I cannot buy margin. I can't buy Riot on margin in this account and get a discount. Huh. All right. But Hut gave me about a 40% discount. So let's see, Mara. That's the only other one that I really like to trade. So 100 shares. Very slight discount here. So it sounds like the best use of my buying power would be to buy a bunch of Hut if I'm going to diversify away from if I'm going to diversify away from some MicroStrategy just to make the algorithm happy. I'm going to maybe switch over into some Tesla, switch over into some other mining stocks, so that maybe the algorithm will stop being so mad at me. But okay, so let's just see how much I'm gonna roll. first of all. So I'm upside. I'm going to roll this 1400 for sure. I'm keeping 2 out of these 3. Absolutely. So I might as well just deal with that. This one's going to cost me 9 grand. Right? I got paid 900. And it's going to cost me 8 grand. 8 something to roll this. So I could just close it, but let's just see if I can do a quick roll to next week. And let's see where I can roll this to and still get a credit. I can only roll to basically at the money and get a credit. So that's not going to work. I want 20% call away in here. So that's about $300. So if I roll this all the way to 1800, holy smokes. I can get paid a little over 1%. So this actually works for me. I'm going to have to pay 6 grand for this. I am okay with it. Let's make it happen. And so my account is up like 90 grand this week. So that's why I'm not mad at all about having to pay this 30 grand or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm sure some folks are clowning on me for limiting my upside MicroStrategy, but it's really, I can't be mad just because some guy bought one of my calls for $1 grand and now he's making 10. He 10x'd in 1 week, you know, good on you. All right, so let me scroll up here to the 1800 again. Might be a little bit greedier with this one. Let's do 1750. Whoops, not buying a call, selling a call. So this one, I'm picking up like 1.5% this week. But you know what? That's how I got myself. That's how I got myself into trouble this time. Let's not be greedy. Let's actually go let's be even less greedy. Instead of being more, let's be less. So I can go all the way up here to the 1900 strike and get almost 1%. So let me just take my own advice here. What is this? The mid price would be about 13. Right, from 12 to 16. Yeah. Let's try to get this filled for the around the mid price here. If this doesn't immediately fill, I will just put it back in and pay a little extra. 89, 80, 88. I can't remember if that's more or less than before. All right. Let's try to pay. Let's try to pay 90. Nope. 91. There we go. We got to sell. All right, so 2 of my 3 are rolled to next week. I got about 47,000 in buying power, which is about 15% of the account value. Now, here's a decision I have to make. I pretty much estimated that I need 3 of these 3,800 strike out of the money leaps to protect each of my covered calls, which means I need 6 of them to fully protect a move to about 2 grand. So I want to sell one of these for profit. I can almost double up, really, which is the point of carrying them. So I'm paying 30 grand, but I could get paid 10. But then I have even less protection than I wanted. So there's a penny stock trader that I used to follow. His name's Clickfingers Luke. I don't think his YouTube channel even exists anymore. But one of his things was you always have to participate in the bounce. So, I mean, even if you lose money and then it rallies and you can just sell some to break even, he's like, look, if you break even that's a good trade. I know some folks don't want to hear that, but if you bought something and then it crashed 20%, you basically fucked that already. So just to claw your way back to break even is kind of a win in his opinion. And so since MicroStrategy has rallied this week, if I'm to follow that philosophy of you always take profits, then I have to figure out a way to take profits this week. Now with these two covered calls, I really just kind of I didn't really take profits because I didn't even break even on these. I got paid my 1% like I'm supposed to. So maybe I can add some Tesla positions or something. But in order to participate in the bounce, I could roll this for a very aggressive. There's several ways to take profits. So I've got 313 shares here. I can dump 100 shares. I can dump 13 shares. I can sell one of these leaps. I have to do, but the other thing that I could do is just roll this into a very aggressive position next week. Like, I mean, very close to at the money. I would only, or I could even roll it out to 45 days, but that's not my jam, really. So I technically can't even roll this out to, like even if I only let, let's see, less than 10% call away on this would be $150. 5% call away would be about $75. So if I went to the 1550 strike, which is insane for MicroStrategy, but really it's no different than if I just let these get exercised and called away for 1370. I would only be padding in like an extra 5% call away value, but I would be very aggressive and I would kind of consider that taking profits. So do I want to do something like that and then maybe sell off one leaps? Give this a chance to calm down, but I don't know. Nah, I think I'm gonna dump some of these shares. Just the algorithm is not happy that I have so much MicroStrategy. So I'm just gonna pay full price, close this, and then let's sell. Let me just start with selling my 13 shares. Let's see what my buying power gets up to. Okay, so it's going to increase my buying power by 10 grand. All right. If I want to add to my Tesla position, let's say, how many shares do I have? 200. So if I wanted to add another 200 shares of Tesla, actually I was going to add some miners, wasn't I? Let's do that first. That would cost me 12 grand. See, I can buy Tesla dirt cheap on margin. So that's like a third of the price. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. I can turn around and sell covered calls against that. And let's see here. I think it was HUT, right? So the other thing that Tasty Trade does is they charge you less, I think, if you do increments of 20 contracts. Like you pay $1 a piece, but I think if you do 20, you only have to pay 10. So if I buy 2,000 shares of HUT, that means I can sell 20 contracts. So let's see, 2,000 shares of HUT is going to cost me 10 grand. All right, that works. And my buying power now is down here, so let's sell one of these leaps. It served its purpose. I'm going to try to sell it a little high. Let's try to sell it for 11.5. I don't think this is going to work. So I think I'm going to have to walk the price down. Oh, that actually filled. Okay. That'll work. I would still prefer to have 4 of these, but the fact that I can practically, I basically doubled up on this. I mean, that's the point of buying long options, is to sell them for a profit later. So while everybody's assuming that MicroStrategy is going to 2 grand, 2,500 this week, this could go back to 1,000. So that's one of the other problems that I have with folks when they're like, oh, you're limiting your upside. Yeah, but numbers don't always go up. I know we would love it to do that, but that ain't how it is. Oh, shoot, I should have sold, maybe I should have sold 20 puts in HUT. You know what? Let's look at Mara. See if Mara, if I want to sell a put for next week, it's gonna, yeah, it's only gonna charge me half the buying power. So I could buy the shares and pay full price. That kind of pisses me off a little bit. If I buy 100 shares of Mara, it's going to cost me $1,500. But if I just short it at the money, it's only going to cost me $1,200. I wonder what would happen if I get assigned, if my wonder if I get assigned, if it would go back to the to costing me full price. Yeah, I'm wishing I had actually sold puts in this HUT just for fun. But let me look at Riot again, because that's the next cheapest one. So if I look at Riot and I sell puts, right, that's going to cost me full price. That's super freaking weird how these algorithms work. So I can get Mara. I could get Mara and only have to pay half, a little over half, for the puts. But if I buy 100 shares of Mara, oh, I don't have to pay exactly full price. Oh, it was Riot that I had to pay full price on, right? Yeah, there's no discount on Riot. Okay. I have no idea why Tasty Trade is making the decisions that they're making, But let's, for fun, sell some puts since folks were interested in puts. Do I want to do 20 of them with a discount? How much is that going to cost me? 20 grand. That, yeah, so it should cost me like 40 grand. So it's only going to cost me 23. So let's do that. Let's sell, actually, when I sell puts and I'm just getting started, I like to just sell them right at the money and collect the absolute maximum premium as possible. It's a little bit of a different strategy than I do against covered calls. But so I'm actually collecting like 5% ROI for the week, which would make my cost basis $19 if I get assigned. But let's just do that. I don't want to overpay though. Let's go. All right, that worked. So now we've got $20 Mara puts. Okay, so I've blown up my buying power. This is not good on a margin account. So how much MicroStrategy do I want to sell to get, let's say 25 shares, increased by 20 grand. Let's do that. And let's do another 25 because I want to pick up some TSLA LEAPS as well. So let's go down to, whoops, Tesla. I've got these way the hell out of the money leaps in Tesla. Nope, not sell, buy. How many do I have? I've got 4. So let's pick up 2 more. All right, usually rolling only takes me about half an hour, but I'm doing a bunch of weird shit this time. All right, so I bought 2,000 shares of HUT. I need to sell covered calls against them for next week. Boom. Short call, HUT. If I want to collect 1%, that means I could go as high as these $10 strikes. That would bake about 20% in. I don't need to go up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, from 9 to 10. So that's fine. 10% would take me from $9 to $9.90. So let's do 20 of these. And let's try to get 11. I just kind of want this to fill. I think 11 will fill, but maybe not. All right, so while that's thinking, I got my 20 Mara puts. Don't need to deal with that. So I got 50 uncovered shares here. If the price does pump to 2 grand, those 50 shares could be sold for 2 each. That's 100,000. So I think that covers me really for any serious pumps that could happen. So between these two leaps probably covers one of my covered calls, and these 50 shares probably covers the other one. So I am good with this. And frickin' HUT is not playing. So let's drop it down to 10. I just want to get a fill. Thank you. I got a video to make, homies. All right. 2,000 shares, 20 covered calls. 20 Mara puts. I rolled both MicroStrategy covered calls the next week. This one I haven't even talked about. So I set up a credit put spread. This is basically a bullish spread. And so I put up $500 in collateral, collected I can't remember. Anyway, oh, I got paid $4, I think. I'm trying to collect. All right, let me look at this damn thing. Where is it? Oh, no, I went out to June 28th. It's this one, right? Yeah. Went out 45 days on this. And so this is actually a 10 wide. So put up $1,000 in collateral for this and got paid $400. And I'm trying to buy it back for $2, which would basically give me $200 profit on $1,000. So 20% profit. And usually this takes 2 or 3 weeks to fire. But since MicroStrategy's pumped, I could potentially get a fill for this. But this was just kind of like screwing around because the liquidity on MicroStrategy options are not the greatest. So putting credit spreads together for this didn't really work. Doesn't fill easily. The one that I had for Mara that I did exactly like this already filled. So I already pocketed half of that. But, all right, so rolled my MicroStrategy covered calls to next week. Why do I have... Wait, why did I... Did I roll this MicroStrategy call? Okay, that's not supposed to happen. This is technically naked. Oh, God. All right, so I got to pay whatever it is. I had forgotten that I did that. So that was wild. I'm glad I noticed that. I actually, yeah, I have 2 covered calls for next week. That was the one where I was deciding on whether I should sell an at the money covered call for next week. And I thought I decided not to do that, but apparently I went ahead and did it. So muscle memory, I don't know, I was just clicking around, I suppose. So yeah, I had an uncovered. It was covered by 50 shares, but it wasn't covered by 100 shares. So I was like 50 shares naked on that. That's kind of terrifying. All right. So with these margin accounts, and when you have full options permissions, tastytrade will let you do some really dangerous shit. So Robinhood is going to hold your hand a little bit more and prevent you from doing really dumb things a lot of times. But tastytrade is like, if you say you're an experienced trader, we trust you. All right, so Riot I'm going to deal with later. This is the one that I trade with my son, so I'm going to ignore this for now. And Tesla. I've got these expiring today. So let's close them. Now what happened? Is Tesla up? Okay. I think I can't remember what I even got paid for those. I think it was like $100 or something. All right, so I bought those back for 60 or whatever the hell it was. I've already forgotten. And I have 400 shares of Tesla, and I've got 2 of these leaps that I'm using to form a poor man's covered call. And then, of course, I've got my out-of-the-money leaps. These are completely speculative. So I am entitled to sell 6 covered calls. I can sell 2 of them against my leaps, and I can sell 4 against my shares. So let's sell the 4 against shares first. That's a little bit easier to figure out. So if I want 1% of $173, that means I can go to the 180 strike. That's allowing about $6 in call away value. So that's 3%, 3% call away, 1% premium. Let's make that happen. That's 4 covered calls there. Now formulating a poor man's covered call is much more complex. And I've talked about it a little bit, but not probably enough. So this delta weighting right here is really, you have to cut this in half because that's for 2 covered calls. So each of these is about a 0.7 delta, and let's just prove that. So I have what the hell do I have? I got the March 21, 300 days to expiration. So that's these guys right here, right? So these are about a 0.71 delta. Some places recommend that you keep like 40 to 50 delta in between this. So if I want to sell a covered call for next week, generally I go around the 0.3 delta when I'm just selling covered calls. You can see 0.28 delta is right where I landed with this one. But you have to be very careful with a poor man's covered call. And so the value on these is about $5,000. So 1% of that would be about 50 cents. So I can actually collect 10% and go all the way up here to the 187.50 strikes. So I think like a 0.8 delta on the leaps is a little bit safer, and I would feel more comfortable selecting a 0.3 delta covered call against that. But since my leaps are only a 0.7 delta, I think it does make sense to go closer to 190. So that's only a 0.1 delta. We could probably go 0.16 delta here and do the 185 strikes. This is probably pretty decent. So let's do 2 here. Try to collect the mid price. Okay, don't want to fill. All right, let's drop it down to 89. Don't want to fill at 89. There we go. All right, so let's just double check this again real quick. I've got more buying power than I started, so I'm happy about that, I think. I might sell off another 10 shares of MicroStrategy just to free up a little extra buying power. But let's just double check everything. Got 2,000 shares of HUT, sold 20 covered calls against it. Sold 20 Mara puts at the money. I have 250 shares of MicroStrategy. That lets me sell 2 covered calls. I baked in about 20% call away and picked up 1%, 1.5% on those. Right, I'll deal with later. That's a family affair. I got 400 shares of Tesla. I sold 4 180 covered calls. I've got 2 leaps of my synthetic stock. That allows me to sell 2 more covered calls. And I picked up some deep out of the money speculative Tesla calls. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more comfortable with dropping another 10 shares of MicroStrategy. It's going to give me another 8 grand in buying power here. And if MicroStrategy dumps back down to 1,200 a share or whatever, then that'll give me some dry powder, I suppose. So if this was a cash account and I was not trading on margin, then I would just keep buying MicroStrategy until my buying power was 0. But this is levered. This is margin account. So if MicroStrategy tanks to 700 a share, all this shit is gone. All this buying power is not real. This is a mirage. And I would have to dip into either my Bitcoin cold storage, which would also be reduced probably because if MicroStrategy is crashing, it's probably because Bitcoin is crashing. Or I can dip into, borrowing money from various sources. All right, so that is just the main account. This one will be even more interesting because this went over my 1450 strike. So I got to come up with 5 grand in this account. This is a cash account because it's an IRA. So if I try to roll this expiration to next week for a credit, how high can I go? Like a tiniest little credit. I can only get about to there. So let me just close. I'm going to have to sell some of my hut to pay for this. So let's sell, what was it, like 50 shares or something? All right, that gives me some breathing room to close this covered call, these 2 covered calls. So let's pay $13 a pop for those. Now, all of my hut are uncovered, so I can sell these and pick up about 2 grand. Let's sell. How many did I have? Is it 235? I can't see without my glasses. 235. Oh yeah, they're all gone. All right, so that gave me about 2,500 in buying power that I can use to roll this with. So if I roll the next week, if I try to bake 20% in here and go to the 1,800 strike, not going to make it. How much buying power do I have? 2,500. Oh, so close. So close. $1,750. Let's try that one. Is the price of frickin' MicroStrategy dancing around on me? Why is this, I can only get to 1740. 1550? Can I get to 1750? 25, 28? Let's do, see if I can get this to fill for 2,500. $2,500 debit. I don't think so. Oh, but I have 13 shares of MicroStrategy too. I forgot about that. So let's sell 3 shares. That should give me some breathing room. All right. Let's roll expirations like I wanted to and give myself 20% call away value to the 1,800 strike. Yeah. Come on, give me a fill. Wait, why is this a debit? What the hell is happening here? All right. Thought I closed this. Oh, I was trying to roll it. Let me just close it. Get that over with. All right. Sometimes rolling is more trouble than it's worth. So let me go down to the 1800 strike that I wanted. Let's try to sell this for 21.90. Let's try a little 22. All right, good deal. All right, now I can go buy my hut back. That's hilarious. 200 shares a hut. It's gonna cost me 1,800. So really, I probably need to. 2,000 gonna cost me? The hell? 2,000 shares a hut. It's gonna cost me 18 grand. So I do not have enough. Even if I sell my 10, actually, if I sell my 10, that's going to give me 15. Yeah, that'll give me the hut I need in order to sell 20 covered calls against. Yeah, I'm just going to get my, I'm going to get two of my shares of MicroStrategy back. That leaves me with a grand total of 781, so that's not enough to get 100 shares of hut. However, I can get, what, like 90 shares of hut? No. 88. Oh, almost. 86. There we go. Come on, let's get fills here. Oh, they're nickel and diming me here. There we go. 904. Fire, thank you. All right. So I was able to roll. I had to sell off a couple hundred shares of hut. I had to sell off one of my MicroStrategy shares in my retirement account. But I was able to close that 1,400 strike, pick up the 1,800 strike with 20% call away for next week. Got paid $2 grand on that one. And so I only lost one share of MicroStrategy and a couple hundred shares of hut in order to make that happen. This is nice to see. The leaps that I paid 67 grand for is actually worth a little bit more than that now. So this thing has served its purpose. All of the premiums that I've collected over the however long has allowed me to buy these 12 shares of MicroStrategy and with the premium that I collected. So that is good news, and that should do it. All right, that was way longer than I expected to take, but oh shit, I actually didn't do the 5K account. All right, if all you care about is the main account, then you can switch off. But I also have the 5K account, which is barely breaking even now again. So that's good news. But let's close this. Hut's done well this week. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's pay another $1 for this one. All right. Your options. Let's sell a covered call for next week. I liked the 10, right? So let's sell this one for 13. That's like 1.5% for the week. 13 don't want to. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, we're doing 12. We're gonna smash the bid. Done. Mara, $20 call for next week. Close it. This one worked out well. I chose the 20 strike, and it's literally 1998. So can't fuck with me on that one. Spoke too soon. I gotta pay $50 for this one. I got paid 40. Got to buy it back for 50, which is fine because this was at like 17 or 18. So I made $200 in stock value. So let's just sell or buy this back for 0.63. I need a fill. This video got to go. Mara, let's bake 10% in. So we're going to sell the 22 for next week. And I'm not going to stagger it. I'm just going to do 2 of them. So let's see if we can get filled at 48. Boom. Thank you. Next. Riot expires today. So buy this back for $1. Make it hollow for $1. Next week, 10% call away will get us to $11 or $11.50. So let's go. Yeah, let's just keep collecting the 1%. Let's see if 14. Give it to us at 14. Give us the mid price. Thank you. Yeah, you can see as you start picking up more and more tickers and assets, the rolling takes more time. So when I just had MicroStrategy and Tesla, this was like 15 minutes and I could just roll. But I'm doing a lot of stuff for demo purposes. I wouldn't just be sitting here with like, you know, one, two contracts and 4 different assets. I would just be like in MicroStrategy, Tesla, and then maybe one more mining stock with the leftovers. But this is all good shit. So let's see, I got a Hut, I got 2 Maras, and a Riot. Hut, Riot, 2 Maras. I just picked up, so here's the decision. I'm going to wait for MicroStrategy maybe to rip more before I use it to buy more shares of something else. But eventually I'll sell like $1,000 worth of MicroStrategy and I'll pick up 100 shares of something. Kind of using MicroStrategy as a store of value right now. So since I just collected, what? 2 Maras, collected $100 there, 115, 130, collected about $130. Let's pick up one more TSLA LEAPS. I don't have to pay 54 for that. Of course. It leaves me with like 80 bucks more to buy MicroStrategy with. Let's just buy 50 bucks in MicroStrategy. Fractional shares. Buy in dollars. 50 bucks. Cha-ching. All right, now I have 1.32 something shares. My average cost is $14.32 because I was buying at 1,200, and so we're up about 10% on this. If this rips to like 1,800 or 2K, I'll sell some of this off and buy mining stocks with it. All right, now we can end the damn video. Be good, Joe.